Check, check. Wow. Okay. I was just live. Computer literally, boom, blue screen, crash. Now I'm getting things back going. So we will get Jeff Williams back on the line here. It probably took me about 2 total seconds after the computer crashed to start sweating. Literally. I mean, it was the second it happened, my heart just dropped and sat there looking at it going, what do I do now? My screen just turned blue. And so now getting the live stream back going, you might end up watching this, the recording of it, but going to go start Zoom back up and get Coach Williams back on. And then let all of our guys know that we are back live. And we will get Coach Williams back in. I want to play a little trivia. Oh, let's say, okay. Try number 2. Officially live again with Coach Williams. There we go. Okay. Yes, restore pages. That would be even better. There you go. All right. The last thing we need is Coach Williams back. That's the last thing we need to get Coach Williams back on the horn. Zoom is opening up, and we'll get him back in, and we'll get our show fired up again. Oh, my goodness. What do you do? What do you do when the computer literally just crashes without notice? All right, we're getting Coach back in. Zoom is up, new meeting. There we go. Join with computer audio. Copy. And now, email this to Coach Williams. We got it. There we go. Okay. We're so close. All right. New Zoom link sent to Coach Williams. And letting Coach Williams know here on Twitter. Link sent. Whew. Okay, my sweat is slowly coming back down. Grant not available. I'll tell you what, man. I think I'm grown up now, Cody. I'm grown up. I can do it without Grant now. If anybody was not around in the beginning of the live show days, my son helped me get it going, and I had to call for Grant every time anything went wrong. I had to call for Grant. So, getting Coach Williams. There he is. He's back on the horn. Let me get this. Okay, Coach.
Did we make her?
My goodness. I was telling the guys that I started sweating within about 2 seconds.
Well, I figured it was me because I'm old and tech not so savvy, so.
I was sitting there looking at you and everything went blue, and I just sat there with my jaw dropped. Guys, thanks for coming back and joining us. Funny how computers don't decide to take a dump when you're not using it. Isn't that truth? Isn't that the truth? I got to figure this out. All right. Coach, without further ado, we're going to play a little trivia. Now, I'll wait 2 minutes on the trivia. We're going to start trivia in about 2-3 minutes, and then talk pin and pull and speed option. But before I do, I'm going to get to since we've lost some time, I want to get to the nuts and bolts. You're freshmen. You had said your freshman run I formation. And I think you were saying kind of all the way down into your youth programs, right? Everything starts with the I. But that's part of the system. And then they're going to grow up, and then we're going to start, when they're softs, becoming more multiple, going to the gun. Before you explain that, I want to ask you guys in the chat, what do your freshmen do? Is it a piece of a whole? Or or do the freshmen have full free reign? How are freshmen handled on your staff? Coach, let us know how you've done it there with the offense.
So, we provide an I playbook to our youth kids. So our youth kids, they all play in our program. It's an in-house league. We've got plenty of kids in Owatonna who play football, so we don't travel. So they run our stuff, but it's our I stuff. Can they split guys out? Of course. Can they, move a fullback into an H? Of course. I'll even see a little bit of shotgun, because we run a lot of I shotgun stuff. You know, we'll offset the fullback, go pistol, and we'll run our I formation from a shotgun situation. And so our freshman coach is actually quite creative, and he'll take that I formation and he'll, you know, split guys out and do multiple things. But the core of it is we run off tackle power, we run sweep, we run counter, and we run trap. And then we run bootleg, and we run power pass or spider Y banana or whatever.
Yeah. Spider 2 Y banana.
That's correct. We run that, you know, and then we've got some vertical passing stuff. And then when they're 10th graders, that's when we introduce them to zone schemes. And so our kids have never, you know, tried to zone block, to try to say, all right, I need help with this guy. What's our call? That all gets installed in the sophomore level. And that's worked very well for us because then they have a core of gap schemes that they can always fall back on. They've run a million times. We both know that those schemes win football games, and our kids can pull, our kids can down block, our kids can trap, our kids can log. And I think that plays well into the zone schemes that we introduce to them when they're 10th graders.
Now, over in the chat here, Jerry Payne out of Charleston, Illinois says that the freshmen run just a simplification of the varsity system. Thomas N. out in Oregon, who's a big wing T guy, says they run a piece of the whole, right? That they have to master buck sweep, trap, waggle before anything else. Cody Gardner out in Utah, they're 21 gap scheme under center, so the freshmen run their O. They can integrate gun if they have the pieces. Kyle Pettit says freshman JV run the triple, just like the varsity. If my middle school coach can do it with his kids, he will teach the triple too. Oh, before I move on, I want to let you guys know Thomason has a YouTube channel where he posts a lot of wing T stuff. So Thomason, would love to see you share that channel in the chat here. Share a link to your channel. Guys, give him a subscription. Obviously, it doesn't cost anything. Help other coaches out. Help them spread the word of what he's been up to. Coach, what do you call the offense or defense in Owatonna?
I call the offense. Yep, I've always been the old coordinator.
And you said your D coordinator's been there for a really long time with you too, right?
Yeah, he was a volunteer assistant my last year as an assistant, and then when we, took over the program in 1996, he kind of fell into that D coordinator role, and he's still the all-time leading tackler at University of Minnesota Duluth. He's a beast of a man, ornery, but really, really smart. And he played at a big metro program that won a state championship and had great connections up there, picked their brains on defense, and he just convinced me that he would be the guy. So he's been our D coordinator for 25 years. He's my next door neighbor. My deck points toward his house. He's now my boss because he's the activities director. And so I report to him, 300 days a year, and he reports to me 65, and it's worked out great. We're best friends, and it's a great relationship.
How many kids in the Owatonna program, grades 9 through 12?
125 probably in any given year.
Oh, that's good numbers. Are you guys one platoon or two?
We are we're a one platoon team, so we've got kids going both ways. And so we've got to be very careful, about being a 1.5 type of team. And we really err on the side of, if you're a great football player that we need on the field, you're going to be on the field all the time on defense, and we'll substitute you out in the offensive stuff because we can direct where the football goes. We can direct what the series is going to look like. I get reminded frequently by our D coordinator that they cannot determine where the ball will be run, nor can they punt. He tells me that about 3 or 4 times a game. We can't punt, coach. We can't punt. Get me so-and-so out there right now because we can't punt.
I like that argument. That's a good argument. I'm going to steal that one right there. Guys, let's go play a little trivia. Then we'll spin the wheel, see who's winning $50. And then we're going to come back, talk pin and pull and speed option. Coach, we're going to run a little long. If you got to go, I understand. Hopefully you can stick around for a minute. Let's go. Look, only 2 names on the wheel so far. Only 2 names on the wheel, which means if you win tonight, guys, you got a 1 in 3 chance of winning $50. Let's go to question number 1. And I love these questions. In the 2007 film Superbad, What name does Fogel put on his fake ID? Coach, have you ever seen Superbad?
Not once. I think the last movie I saw in the theater was Gran Torino.
Well, which was a great movie.
It was a great
by
movie.
the way. I think I might have seen that with my dad and loved it. Superbad is one of those movies that is so dumb that it's funny. It's one of those. And just this whole scene, that there's a picture here that I have up on the trivia. This whole scene is just priceless, and it kind of one of those scenes that goes down in infamy. Chase Yakes got it, man. That's right. He uses the name McLovin on his ID. He uses McLovin on his fake ID. Do you guys remember what he was deciding between? This is just a side trivia. He said it was either McLovin or what else did he say he was deciding between? All right, let me see. There's the picture of McLovin's ID, and we will go to the scoreboard and add Yake. And Yake has a point. Well done, Yake. Yake, remind me where you're from. I know you've told me once or twice. It takes me a couple times, but I will eventually get it. Yake's on the scoreboard. Who knows? What was the other name it was between? He says it was between McLovin or... I know the guys know it. All right, let's move on to the next question. Next question. Who was the first and only number 1 seed to lose in the first round of the NCAA basketball tournament to a 16 seed? Who was the first and only to ever lose to a 16 as the number 1 seed? It was just a couple years ago. Coach, do you remember that?
I do, and I know the answer.
Chase Yake is from Florida. Welcome back, Coach Yake. And the other name that he was deciding between, Coach, there's a young kid trying to get a fake ID so he can buy booze. He says it was between McLovin or Muhammad. Those were his choices. The guy says, why the heck would you use Muhammad? He said it's the most common name in the world. Read a book. That's right, Chase Yake, 2 on the board. It was Virginia 2 years ago. Coach, you remembered that one?
Absolutely.
Virginia, funny story. We have a fun little game that me and my buddies do here in Champaign area, where you kind of purchase a team, and if your team does well, you win, right? You win. And so he purchases Virginia. They are the first number 1 to ever lose. The following year, he doesn't want to touch Virginia, so I take them, and then Virginia wins it.
And they win it.
The very next year. So there you go. In 2018, UMBC, Maryland, Baltimore. I can't remember what the C stood for. UMBC became the first number 16 to beat a number 1 when they beat Virginia. Question number 3, let's see it. Who is currently the richest man in the world? I know you guys know this one. Type fast, baby, type fast. The current richest man in the world. And I have seen, Coach, I saw someone do a YouTube video where they compared how much money this guy has to the rest of the world, and they used rice to demonstrate it. And it went from like $1 million was like this little handful of rice, and the amount of money that this guy has was like bags and bags full, right? If 1 million was this, he has bags and bags and bags full. That's right, Pettit got it. Coach, do you know who it is?
Jeff Bezos?
That's right, it's Jeff Bezos. Pettit on the board with 1. Oh, why'd I put Virginia 1? I gave Yake a point and Virginia a point.
You were talking and typing.
Exactly. Okay, Yake, you got 2. And who was that? Pettit. Pettit has 1. There we go. Jeff Bezos is correct. His net worth, $181.5 billion. It's really, really outrageous. Let's take a look at the question number 4. Question number 4 is geography. Name one country that shares a border with Greece. Do you think you could name this off the top of your head, Coach? I could not before this question. I could name one that was really close by water, but I couldn't name one that shared a land border with Greece? I think I had asked you last time, Coach, if you had ever been to Europe. I think you said you had not, right?
Not, and Greece is on the list. I'm wondering, I might have one.
All right, the answers are in, Coach. What's your guess?
Armenia.
Armenia? I don't think that's one. Let's look. It's Albania, North Macedonia, Bulgaria, and Turkey.
Yeah, I would.
Those are the four. And the first in with the answer was Thomason. Thomason on the board with one. Okay, comes down to the last question. I gotta pause for a second to type. I'm apparently very bad at multitasking. If Thomason or Pettit gets the answer right, they go on to the wheel with Yake. If anyone else gets it right, Yake goes alone. So let's see who's going to the wheel, and then we're going to spin that wheel. Question number 5. The UAB Blazers were conference champs this season. What conference did they win? I like these type of questions, right? We all know our Power 5 pretty well. But beyond that, things get a little cloudy. The conference I know best after Power 5 is probably the MAC. How about you, Coach?
Probably the MAC. Yep, probably the MAC.
For whatever reason, the MAC seems to be the easiest for me to remember. Maybe it's because it has changed the least.
It has changed very little, and they're on TV all the time, midweek. There's nothing else on, you know?
You're right. That helps us learn the teams. Who knows what conference UAB won? Chase Yake gets it. Coach, they won Conference USA.
Okay.
Conference USA. And they beat Marshall by a score of 22-13. That puts Yake on the wheel. We're going to go to the wheel and add Chase Yake. There we go. Let me see if the wheel's showing up for everybody. It is. We're going to spin. Winner's getting $50. Easiest way for me to pay is through PayPal. If that works for you, shoot me a message after the show, winner. And look me up on Twitter, @TheChiefPigskin for Twitter. Here we go. Oh, look at that. Pettit goes, it's on his jersey. He had a Conference USA logo on his jersey. Here we go. We're spinning the wheel. Who's winning $50? Only 3 names. It's either Jerry Payne, Ben Johnson, or Chase Yake. Yake. You the winner, Yake. Well done. He comes in tonight, wins trivia, and wins $50. Look me up on Twitter, @TheCoachAllball. Send me a message. Let me know the best email. Hopefully PayPal works. If not, we can make Venmo work. Let me know how the best way to get you $50 cash. Compliments of the Coach Pad. Coach, now, let me go to this. Pin and pull. It's really your sweep. You'll run pin and pull as your sweep blocking. Is that how your freshmen will do it as well?
Yeah, and they'll typically have a tight end in there, and we get the base block, from the tight end, or the hook block from the tight end, and then we'll get our guards out and around, usually lead with a fullback out and around as well. And if we're under center, we run the toss offense essentially, so that quarterback tosses it, and then he's out and around as well. So our quarterback, fullback, 2 guards, sometimes even the onside
Everybody's
tackle.
going.
If he's uncovered, we'll pull him as well. And it looks like O.J. Simpson on the perimeter in 1968.
Coach, how long have you been running just your basic sweep play like that? Was it pin and pull that influenced you to run toss like that? Or were you already running toss like that, and so it was easy to just run pin and pull when you went to the gun?
Yeah, toss was our kind of outside play when we were a double wing team. When we were a wing T team, it was buck sweep, and we were buck sweep, trap, waggle. When we went to the double wing, it was more off tackle power. We're going to kick that guy, and then we're going to pin him and get our guards out and around. And so it was really kind of a change up from off tackle power. We wanted to run power until the cows came home. And then that was our change up to get the guards outside and give our guy chance to get to the boundary and get vertical. When we went to the gun, what we found was outside zone was a very high maintenance play for us. It required a huge amount of practice for very few results. You know, and if you listen to the NFL guys who are married to outside zone, that's all they do. I mean,
that's right.
Minnesota Vikings, they have one run play and it's outside zone, and that is it.
We visited a program in New Mexico that was the same way, just all outside zone. So I see what you're saying.
I don't think you can date the outside zone. I think you either marry it or you don't show any attention to it. And so we've gotten away from outside zone, and we put in our pin and pull, you know, with the idea that we have to be able to get outside. We need to get a stretch. We need to, you know, get some gaps opening in that front, because we're running so much inside zone. People are just caving on us. And, you know, yes, we pull with the quarterback, but our quarterbacks aren't great runners. You know, we want the ball in the hands of our T as much as possible. And so what we found was, if we're reaching on, say, a 5-tech, we're running zone right and we're reaching right on a 5-tech with our tackle, he's crossing face to get to the zone. And so if we can reach him and he wants to cross face on us, well, we've got him pinned now. And now we've got the ability to get both guards out and around. And we typically do pull guards. We have pulled center and backside guard. You know, if we're running pin and pull into, say, a 1 technique, and we want to leave the front side guard home to block down on the 1, we'll pull the center out and around, and then we'll pull the guard, and then we'll cut, you know, a backside 3 or something like that. And that's worked pretty well. Sometimes our centers are not great runners in space. You know, if we've got a position on our team where we're going to put the most immobile guy who's really smart and can identify fronts, it's probably the center. But when we get an athletic kid there, we'll pull him as well. And so we're always getting 2 guys out and around, you know, around that pin. And it's become a really, really good play for us. It's been very effective against 3-5 fronts. And we see some 3-5 up here, you know, still. I mean, it was voodoo 20 years ago, and then it became very commonplace, and now it's a little bit rarer, but that's one that we keep in the notebook, you know, like, what do we do well against 3-5? We run pin and pull sweep very effectively against 3-5.
Coach, when you are in your spread stuff and you've got things spread out more, what formations are you having the most success with pin and pull?
We typically do like to run away from the tight end. So if we've got, say, a tight end trips formation with just an open flank to the other side, we'll run pin and pull into that open side. We find that teams will cheat if we've got a tight end or an H-back in. We'll see, you know, over fronts into that, and it really gives us the ability to get outside to an open side of the formation. And sometimes if you bring a flanker in, you know, maybe you're in a tight end flanker slot split end, you got that slot out there and you want to run pin and pull into him. Well, you just probably brought a strong safety, you know, down into where you want to run the football. And he's going to be better at defeating blocks than your slot receiver is going to be at blocking. So oftentimes we'll just run it into an open side with no receivers, so we don't have to worry about blocking people in space. Get those big boys out and around to block, you know, scraping linebackers and that sort of thing, and try not to worry too much about safeties running the alley and that sort of thing by having a receiver out there.
Well, the last thing I wanted to ask you about was speed option. And in my days as a defensive coordinator and as a head coach, which spanned like a total of 13, 14 years, we spent a lot of time worrying about speed option. And then we saw it almost none. But yet we were always worried about it and then wouldn't see it. How long have you been running speed option, and when was the decision to just run the same pin and pull blocking with it? Because when I saw that on film, I really liked that.
We put it in 2017, and we had played an opponent who beat us in the state semifinals in 2016. And they went on and won the state championship handily. And I think they beat us 17-7. And we struggled somewhat getting the ball outside against they ran a Okie front, but they'd walk off, they'd kind of feather off their defensive end outside linebackers. So 3-4. And they had given us some trouble. So we ran into them in the state championship game in 2017. And we thought, this might be an effective way to get outside, to put that outside linebacker who's in space in a bit of a conundrum. And so we're running inside zone. We're running kind of a midline option that we put in for them. And their 5 techs are crashing down inside, trying to take that away. And then we pinned them, attacked the edge, and an option that forced defender, that outside linebacker. Pull both guards, and they're responsible for the 2 inside linebackers in the 3-4. So that onside guard is running past the option guy and then basically looking back inside for the scraping linebacker. The backside guard is looking for the linebacker who's over him. And then what we found is we don't even have to block the nose either, and they had a very good nose. And so we started to slip the center out to help with that backside linebacker as well, and just left the nose unblocked. So we were running our pin and pull scheme with the speed option in the backfield. Instead of pulling our guard on that force defender, we optioned him and basically took care of all the inside flow with a slip center, 2 guards pulling, and really there was nobody home. And we ran it very effectively against those guys in 2017, won the state championship, and then we played them in the state semifinals again in 2018 and ran it very, very, very effectively against them in 2018. And so it's become a part of our offense, not only for the 3-4s, but the 3-5s in particular. We really like it as well.
It reminds me of Army-Navy's kind of load option, right? Where they step back and here they go, and here comes the quarterback, which of course is everybody's one of your best athletes, and he's got 2 big boys in front of him. I mean, it really is a fantastic way to run it. How much do you guys have to work, or do you work on that pitch?
We start pitching in quarterback school. So I've got kids coming to our quarterback school who are going into 9th grade. We do run a shovel pass. And so the ability to do that action, is something that we train those kids to do beginning in 9th grade. So, we'll run orbit motion, zone read. So there is an option pitch potential once they're in 10th grade. So they do get a chance to do that. And then once we put the speed option in, our kids could already pitch because we had already maintained that technique and some of the other things that we're doing. And, guys my age, I mean, we loved Oklahoma and Alabama back in the days. So it's just fun to be able to say we do some option. We aren't an option team. We're not that good because that takes a lot of work and a lot of dedication and all that. But just to have a little bit of option window dressing is kind of fun.
Man, well, your offense has been deadly, good enough to win 2 straight Minnesota State titles. Coach, give us one thing that you feel like you need to work on.
The biggest thing I think these days is just making sure that the best athletes in your school are football players. We're secluded enough from other communities. We're 15 minutes away from one town, 40 minutes away from another. So we don't have to worry about kids leaving our school to go to other schools, knock on wood. But we do have to make sure that our best basketball players, our best wrestlers, our best baseball players, our best track athletes are football players. So I think most of the battle for us is just internal. We've turned into college coaches, in our recruiting process. I mean, we're sending out letters and notes and stuff to kids. I provide all of our assistant coaches all the addresses and cell phone numbers of the kids in their position groups coming up. So when a kid's a 9th grader, the varsity position coach knows the kids who are in his position group, has got contact info. They write the kids' notes. We're trying to make sure that the kids who are capable of playing for us eventually on Friday night want to be football players. So that's something that we continually work on. from a football standpoint, some years we have great quarterbacks, some years we have to really develop them. Making sure big kids are appreciated and want to be football players. Our lines are getting a little bit thin. Those linemen, I don't know. Some of them would rather go buy an old pickup truck and fix it up and, get their snowmobile tuned up and, making sure that those kids are really appreciated, because you don't win without linemen. You can always find some wideouts, but it's tough to win without linemen. You got to show them the love.
Give us a couple. Kyle Pettit in the house said, any tips on that? Inside recruiting is our struggle. So just like 3 or 4 little specifics that you could provide for Kyle that you would do if you went to any school.
Sure. So I just print note cards with envelopes, so it's all a ton of football stuff, and I give all the assistants these kids' addresses, so I've got the big database. It's like wide receiver, and they also get the evaluations on the kids from the junior high coaches, so they know who needs a little more love, which kids are studs, which kids love it, which kids are on the edge a little bit, and they write personal notes beginning when those kids are 9th graders. It's a big deal for us to put the best equipment on that we possibly can. So, our kids wear nothing but Visus or Speed Flex. We don't have any other helmets other than Visus and Speed Flex, because we want to be able to tell the mothers we have the best equipment that money can buy. They're 5-star helmets. We're going to protect your kid. Our uniforms are first class. We're Nike. We got a Jordan set last year. We were one of the teams that was selected to get a Jordan set. So we try to swag the kids out a little bit so they really feel like they're a part of something special. Because my gut, and you'd probably agree with me as a wrestling coach, I think if a basketball program goes into the doldrums for a while, it's easier to resurrect. It's fun to practice basketball. You only really need a core of 7 guys, and you can go from 0-25 to being really competitive in a year. Football and wrestling, if you go into the doldrums, it is a monumental task to make those sports fun and make them cool to be a part of. And I look at the programs around us that have fallen on hard times. The kids don't think the program is cool. They don't want to get beat up. They know that it's going to be in the newspaper. It's not like boys swimming where you can get beat and it doesn't show up in the newspaper. I mean, it's humbling, football, because you're in the limelight, and you've got to make it cool for the kids. And once you get a critical mass of kids in your program who buy in, then their friends come with them. But if you don't get those right kids, then their friends are like, well, so-and-so's not playing. I'm obviously not playing. And it makes it tougher to resurrect. So attract kids with the coolest, safest stuff that you possibly can. Make sure the position coaches know these kids' names at the earliest age, that they're up watching them in the stands so they can text the kid after the 9th grade game and say, you did a great job today. That was a superb stock block that popped that touchdown run. And to get that from a position coach, I mean, my God, I would have been starry-eyed as a 9th grade kid. And I would have wanted to go out there and perform and be in that program where coaches take care of you. But we work very hard. We've got 20 coaches from our 9 through 12 program. And so we're able to, put 3 line coaches with our varsity guys. We've got 3 secondary coaches who are on the field with those kids. So we can kind of outnumber the kids a little bit with that stuff too. It's not 1 or 2 coaches trying to maintain 60 kids. We've got 20 for 120. So it breaks down pretty well that way for us to get our arms around kids. And we have a blast every day in practice. I mean, we laugh every day. We have fun every day. We joke around, and then it's business. When that horn blows and it's on to the next segment, it is business, and they go 1,000 miles an hour, and then we get a 5-minute water break. It's a lot of laughing. Who do you got in your brackets? What are you guys doing this weekend? We have fun.
So your practice is how long, start to finish?
On a Monday night game planning night, Wednesday night, which is kind of a hard contact night for us, we could be on the field 2 hours and 45 minutes. That wouldn't be uncommon. We do not practice on the weekend. We've never practiced on the weekend. Minnesota gets goofy at the end of the season, and sometimes you have to play like Wednesday, Tuesday, Saturday. And so we'll have to bring the kids in on a Saturday, and we hate doing it because they're bunged up. If they've played the game right on Friday night, they're hurting on Saturday morning, and it's a lot of walking and talking and icing. But we give them the weekend off. If they want to go pheasant hunting, they can go pheasant hunting. We get their brains out of football, and we game plan as coaches, and then we present that to them right after school on Monday, and then we start focusing on the next opponent. So we always warn our kids of that. It's like, we're going to practice pretty long during the week, but you'll get your weekends off. You got Saturday and Sunday, you go do your deal, have fun, be smart when you have fun. Like we say, have fun, but not too much fun. And I think that keeps them fresh throughout the course of the season, because if we're doing it right, we're playing 13, 14 games. We're playing till Thanksgiving weekend if we're doing it right.
Well, Coach, man, so much wisdom, so much experience, and so many great ideas. Really appreciate it. I'm going to shout out my sponsor one last time for the month and then give you an opportunity to close us out. Any final thoughts? Hey, no matter if you draw scout cards by hand or use a program on your computer, the Coach Pad will give you back time by never stuffing a binder again before heading out to practice. The first 13-inch electronic device allowing coaches to clearly display scout cards outdoors in the sun has been a game changer for programs this past fall. That's the Coach Pad, link below. Got to check out their product. It's pretty incredible. Coach, thank you. That's all I can say. Thank you. I feel it's a huge privilege to have lucked out enough to come across you and shown up at Owatonna and to get to know you a little bit. Very much appreciate it, Coach.
Well, I appreciate it too.
One fast question for you. Coach Gardner out of Utah says, is that 2 hours 45 minutes just on the field, or does that include film?
On Monday, it would include film. We're shoulder pads and shorts on Monday, so that would include film. Our game plan install we do in an auditorium setting first before we go out onto the field. But Wednesday, we could be out there for 2 hours and 45 minutes. Tuesday is a little bit shorter. That's probably 2 hours and 15.
Okay. So. Okay. Coach, thank you. Any final thoughts?
Well, I'm not one of those big guys who's promoting stuff on Twitter and putting play diagrams up there, but it doesn't mean that I'm not willing to talk. So if anybody wants to follow up further and wants things sent out, wants to chat, wants to follow up on some concepts that we've talked about or that they see in the videos that are part of your clinic, just have them, guys, just DM me. We're at Huskies Football on Twitter. My DMs are always open. Just DM me, we'll connect, and I'd be happy to send anything to you, answer any questions, because I love talking football.
Coach, thank you so much. Guys in the chat, thanks for joining us. A thumbs up would go a long way. If you're not subscribed yet, subscribe, of course. That's the last one for the month. We'll see you guys in a few weeks. Coach, I hope that you guys are eventually getting some warm weather up there in Minnesota.
It's coming. Spring starts tomorrow, I've been told.
Let's go. I can't wait. Coach, great getting to know you, man. Good night.
Thanks, Nate. Appreciate it.